If I had said to Becky, I really want to work with you on this sanitation thing, because that is the coolest gray shirt I have ever seen in my, and I just want to be seen hanging out with somebody as fashion conscious. First of all, this has nothing to do with what I'm talking to her about. Secondly, she knows I'm blowing smoke, and it's going to do me more harm than good. So yes, it is important to raise the other person's status and let them know why you're looking to them as a resource, but it's got to be relevant and it's got to be sincere. Okay. What else did I do differently the second time?
Interpersonal.
How so? What did you see or
When
hear?
you sat down and you basically said, excuse me, can I talk to you?
I made her a partner from the beginning. I was giving her choice the whole time. I was asking her to work with me. Excuse me, do you have a minute? Not, I'm going to just jump right in here. Okay? Conscious choice that I made. What else did I do differently? How about my voice? Yeah, it was lower and slower, right? Absolutely. What about my physical behavior? Yeah. Yeah, you know, a lot of times when we talk to other people, even though we don't intend to do it, we let our physical being introduce static into the conversation that prevents our message from getting through as clearly as it could. If I went to James, for example, and I said, James, we got a real problem upstairs. Okay, we got to get on this right away or somebody's going to really get sick. Is James paying any attention to me? No. He's looking at my hands going, how in the world does he do that? Okay? So I've introduced this static in that keeps my message from getting through. But I can only avoid that if I make that conscious choice. I've got to have my head in the game all the time. Okay? If I don't, if I just let things happen, they're going to happen bad. I've got to make the choice. I've got to do it. Okay? So those are the first two elements. Now let's move on to element number 3. And here we're going to use these 3 fingers because it makes the okay sound. And we're all about symbols. Element number 3 is to give the other person a set of 3 somethings, a set of 3 data points that they can work with about the incident or about the situation you're talking to them about. Now, why do we say give the person a set of 3? It could be 3 examples, it could be 3 options, it could be 3 reasons. Why 3? Well, interestingly enough, there are 3 reasons why we suggest that you give the person 3. The first reason is that 3 is a number we can get our heads around. Most of us can grasp and hold on to a set of 3 something. All right? If I went to Linda, for example, and I would say, Linda, you know, people aren't really taking as much advantage of our food service here at the facility as I think they should. And I've been able to pin down about 87 reasons why I think that's happening. So what I'd like to do is walk through those 87 with you and then kind of see where, you know what, by the time I get to the 4th one, Linda is thinking, what was that first one again? And then she's also thinking, who is this guy? All right? So 3 is a number I can get, we can get our heads around. Second reason to give the person a set of 3 is it's respectful of their time. Everybody is busy. Everybody has a lot to do. I'm not respecting Linda's time if I expect her to sit and listen to me give her 87 reasons for something. That's not respecting her time. The third reason to use a set of 3 is that when you do that, you also give the other person an idea of what you see as the priorities or the importance. If I'm going to give Michael a set of 3 reasons why something is happening, isn't it logical to presume that the first one I tell him is going to be the one I think is most important, and then the second one will be the second most important, and the third one will be the least important? So now, in addition to the actual information, he has a sense of how I see the priorities. So you give the person a set of 3 something. Examples, reasons, options, whatever it is. That's element 3. Now, element 4. If element number 1 is the most important, element number 4 is probably the most difficult for most of us. And that is, we're going to add now, we're going to use 4 fingers to show this. We're going to raise the other person's status by asking them to give us pushback, feedback, and then listening to that pushback with 2 eyes and 2 ears. We want to lock in. Most of us are a lot better at talking than we are at listening. It's just a reality. We learn to talk at a very early age. We don't learn to listen well until much later on, if we do at all. You know, we all have to work on that. There's nothing worse in a communication setup than asking somebody for their input and then starting to send a text message while they're talking. A lot of us fall into the trap of asking somebody what they think. If I ask Kiki, for example, what do you think about the way Dr. Riesbrow reacted to Tom in that third scenario? And as Kiki starts talking, I'm already thinking about what I'm going to say next. Or I'm already thinking about why Kiki's wrong about what he's saying. And I'm not really listening to him. It takes practice, it takes effort to do that. And there's nothing wrong with asking the other person to help you with that if you're trying to improve your listening skills. I might say to Michelle, I really want to hear what you think about this situation, but sometimes I'm not a real good listener, so I don't want you to be uncomfortable, but I'm really going to focus and I'm going to lock in on you, I'm going to watch, I'm going to listen with 2 ears, and watch, because I want to focus, okay? Let the other person help you with it. Let them help you. All right? So you listen with 2 eyes and 2 ears, and in doing that, you raise the status of the other person, because what you're telling them is, your input is just as valuable here as mine. That's what you're telling them. Now, element number 5. Now we have the whole hand involved, because element number 5 is to end the conversation on a positive basis, with a pledge to continue the dialogue going forward and close with some kind of a handshake. All right? Becky, I really appreciate you taking time to work with me on this infection thing, and I know tomorrow's probably going to be better for you than today. What if I get with you like 8:30 in the morning after you've had time to check in? So I'll be in your office at 8:30? Thanks a lot. Okay? Boom, we're done. We've got a positive punctuation mark on this conversation, a pledge to go forward, and we close with a handshake. It can be a physical handshake, an actual handshake like that. It can be something that fills that requirement, but not necessarily a handshake. James, you had a really tough time with that patient out there this morning, but you hung in there, man. You did great. You're the best in the world. Okay? That's the handshake right there. All right? That's all it takes. On our team, we've developed a kind of a code handshake that we use. We call it a virtual handshake. After a session like today, of course, tonight we're going to be headed to the airport, so that's a whole different thing. But typically, when we've got another session coming up the following day, we'll have dinner together, we'll talk about what happened and how things can be made better for the next day. And as we separate for the night, I might say to Mark, so we got to start at 8:30 tomorrow, so we probably should be leaving the hotel around 7:15. What do you think? Good. 7:15? Okay, great. It's our handshake, right there. 7:15 tomorrow, it's going to be safe. Boom, we're done. Handshake. All right? Those are the 5 elements. Be safe. Calm and clear. Give the person a set of 3. Raise their status, ask for pushback, listen with 2 eyes and 2 ears, and then close with some kind of a handshake as a positive ending and a pledge to go forward. That's the model. Now, let's take a few minutes and talk about how we make it work. We have to be practical. We have to be realistic. We have to understand what this model is and what it is not. This model is not a silver bullet. This model is not a magic pill. This model is not going to change your work environment overnight. We have to be realistic and practical with ourselves. The reality of our lives in the VA is our environment did not get the way it is overnight. And there is nothing you can do, there is nothing I can offer you that will change it overnight. The wall fell down 1 brick at a time. And that's the way it has to go back up. There is nothing you can say or do that will get Harriet running across the in slow motion toward Mark in the VA going, it's just not going to happen. All right? So what do we want? We want to make incremental changes for the better in our climate. We want to build this up the way it fell down. Transaction by transaction. conversation by conversation, interaction by interaction. How will we know? See, one of the things that keeps us from making improvements in any area of our lives is that we set the bar too high. I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to lose 96 pounds by the way. Okay? Not going to happen. Am I going to be on a diet next week? No, I'm not. Because I set the bar too high. I was unrealistic. Now, the other thing we do sometimes that keeps us from making the improvements or the changes that we want to make in any area of our lives is we don't have a way to measure our success or our progress. If I decide to go on a diet, even if I have a realistic goal, and I don't own a scale, how likely is it that I'm going to stay on that diet? Well, I'm not. All right? So how do we measure our success? How can we know that using this model is actually helping us make an improvement little by little in our work environment? Well, I'm going to give you a tool. I'm going to give you a measuring tool. There are two questions that you can ask yourself after a conversation or an interaction with somebody. And if you get a yes to both these questions, you will know that you have made an incremental improvement in your climate, in your work environment. Question number one. Did this transaction between people turn out better than the last one that these two individuals had? Did this turn out better than the ones before? Second question. Is it now more likely that the next time these same individuals interact with each other, that the outcome will be at least this positive, if not more positive? If you can get a yes to both those questions, you may be sure that you have made an incremental change for the better in your work environment or your home environment. Because this is applicable off the job as it is on the job. The principles are the same. People are people. But we'll focus on what's happening on the job for now. All right? Those are the two questions. Those are the questions that we will use when we look at the replay of the scenarios after lunch and see if we were able to use this technique, this model, to make an improvement in our work plan. Those are the questions that we'll use to measure our success. Okay? Now Mark is going to give each of you a card that has the elements of the model on one side and the two measurement questions on the other side. We recommend that you keep those. You'll want to use them throughout the day today. They're also wallet size, so you can keep them handy on the job and throughout the day to use them. We're going to take just a couple of minutes and allow you to practice using the model in a non-stress, low-pressure, fun kind of way. What I want you to do is pair up, and I think we have an odd number of people. We've got 4 back there. We've got 3, maybe if Tamiko, if you can team up with Becky, and then I'll ask Jackie to come up and team up with Linda. What we're going to do is, we don't have the practical exercise slide in here right now. Okay, take any topic of your choosing. It might be your favorite TV show, your favorite sports team, your favorite VA colleague, whatever it happens to be. And then one of you start. Create a safe environment, then calmly and clearly give the other person 3 facts about the topic you're talking about. Ask for their pushback, close with a handshake, then change places. Just practice using the model. These are not steps now, they're elements. You can go back and forth in between the elements of the model at any time during the conversation. All right? So just give it a try. Practice it for a couple of minutes. All right?